All right, here we go. Next question up. So, in this problem, starting with that question sentence, we're given the volume of this figure that we're discussing, but ultimately what we're looking for, everyone, is its length. So, I'm going to show you in this problem how most people will make this mistake by reading too quickly. We know that, again, we want to know the length. We're given the volume, and then we see that it's a storage shed that has a width, has a height because of how tall it is, and we want to know the length. That's going to tell me that we're dealing with a rectangular prism. And since we're talking about volume, we can say volume equals length times width times height. So here's the mistake that most people make. What they'll do is they'll too quickly write down the information saying, hey, my volume is 768. And then that's going to be equal to the length that I'm looking for times the 8 and then times the 4. But the problem, the biggest problem with that is that we have to make sure we're dealing with the same units. If you take a second careful look at this, our volume right here is listed in cubic feet. So I'll say feet cubed. What that means, my friends, is that we need our length to be in feet, our width to be in feet, and our height to be in feet. Because the way that we get cubic feet for volume, three-dimensional, is the 3 dimensions multiplied together. Feet, feet, and feet. Here's the problem. The problem is, sure, the 8 feet wide for the width, yes, that's proper, but the 4 is yards. That's the problem. If we rushed in this question here, we would have definitely gotten answer choice A, which is incorrect. Let me show you how to get the proper final answer. We are going to take this right over here. Let me duplicate this. And I'm going to convert the 4 feet into yards, okay? Or excuse me, I'm going to convert the 4 yards that I'm given into feet. So this is the problem with writing down your information too quickly. I almost thought that that was already in feet. So again, you can't make those mistakes. So I'll go ahead and erase the 4 feet. I'll make sure to write that as yards. And we want to convert that into feet. My party people, to go from yards to feet, 1 yard equals 3 feet, are we going to multiply or divide the 4? Yeah, the answer to that is going to be multiplication. To go from the bigger unit to the smaller unit, what we will do is we will multiply by that conversion, that 3. So for every yard we have, we multiply by 3 to get the number of feet, which is going to be 12. Now I have what I need. Now I can remove this over here and bring in the actual height. Now we're good to go. So when we get after this, we see that we'll have 768 equals L times 8 times 12. We can bring the 8 and the 12 together to make 96. So sure, let's go ahead and just do that if we want to. Length times 96 equals 768. You could have also divided by 8 and then 12, but either way, we're good. I'm just going to go ahead and divide by the entire 96, and we'll be done with this problem right now. But the only problem is we have to do a little bit of guessing, but that's okay. So if we wanted to take a guess at how many times 96 can go into 768, the way that I'll kind of look at it is I'll say this is about 100, and this is almost 800. So I'm going to see if 8 is the number. So if I do 96 multiplied by 8, I see we have 6 times 8 is 48. And then 9 times 8 is 72. Carry the 4 is 76. That is absolutely correct. And so the correct answer here will be that the length equals 8 feet. And there we go. Answer choice D is the correct answer after converting the unit correctly. All right, next question, but we're going to begin the same way. We're going to begin by reading the question sentence first, and it reads, if we have 40 notebooks that were ordered, how many folders were ordered? So here we have a small comparison being made between notebooks and folders because we know that the way the question is structured, it's saying, hey, look, if this many notebooks, how many folders? So we know that they're related. So I'm going to say again, 40 notebooks is being compared with blank folders. Now, what we're going to do here is when we read the information, we see that it says the ratio of notebooks to folders in a supply order is 5:8. So again, they gave us a ratio right here, clear as day. So let's go ahead and highlight that and write that down. Ratio of notebooks to folders, 5:8. Now, pop quiz. Before I write this down, I want to make sure I know that I'm going to write this down in the right way. Everybody, what does the 5 represent? Again, remember the way that the ratios are written, the order matters. So what is representing the value of 5 in that ratio? Notebooks, because again, the 5 is the first number, so we'll go with the first item, notebooks. Notebooks is first, 5 is first, so those are connected. Folders is stated second, 8 is stated second, so 8 is folders. So that's how I know I can write 5 notebooks down here to 8 folders over there. Boom. Now that I have this, notice how I have the same comparison in the same way. Notice that I'm comparing notebooks to folders, notebooks to folders. Again, proportions are all about comparing the same things in the same way. So what this means for us, everybody, is I can simply, now that I have this compared the right way, I can simply do this. Let me just put an F for folders, and I can go ahead and say 40 over 5 equals F over 8. Because again, I'm doing the same comparison in the same way. Notebooks to folders, notebooks to folders. Boom. Another way that you could write it down and still be correct would be 40 over F equals 5 over 8. Both of these can be solved and still get the same correct answer. Now, we can go ahead here and cross multiply and divide and get the correct answer. Watch when I do this. I can cross multiply 5 times F equals 40 times 8, which is 320. And then from here, we'll divide. We'll get the 5 out of the way. And once we divide, cancels out on the left, giving us F equals 64. I can show that right over here. 5 going into 320. 5 goes into 32 6 times. And then we drop the 0 to make 20. And then we have 5 going into 20, giving us 4 times. So boom, we could do 64 right there. But let me just show you one more way of doing this. Again, I've already said this like 4 times, comparing the same things in the same way. Let me show you how this can work over here. Everyone, take a look. I'm trying to get to F right there. And so I can try to get from 8 to F if I knew what the comparison over here was. Because again, bottom to top, it's the same comparison. Everybody, what do I multiply 5 by to get 40? What do I multiply 5 by to get 40? Oh yeah, that's times 8. Look at that. So I'll go ahead and write a multiplied factor of 8 right there, times 8. And that's going to be the same factor over here. Everybody, what is 8 times 8? What's that going to be? Oh yeah, 64. The same correct answer that we just got. So again, just want to remind you that cross multiplication and division always works, but there might be faster methods depending on the way that the numbers are set up. But there we are. The correct answer for this problem here, my party people, is answer choice A, 64.